So we are all live and we can proceed. Mrs. Pandit?
Yes, sir. Now we started.
Right.
Okay. Good evening to all the delegates and participants. Welcome to the editors training in the research publication series 2022 powered by IESRF. After the completion of successful session on authors and reviewers training with mesmerizing lectures on various topics related to editorial workflow, quality, citation, peer review, desk rejection, etc. From today, we are here with the expert to train editors and our emphasizes to conduct the peer review quality of manuscript, understanding on open access and open data repositories policies. And after our these sessions, all the lectures are also available on YouTube and Facebook handlers of IESRF. Now, I would like to request Dr. A.S. Jha, sir, to guide our editors. Over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Nikita. And I take this opportunity to welcome our speakers, Dr. Ananda and Dr. Sridhar. And above all, I would love to welcome our chair this evening, Dr. Patekar. Well, friends, we have been exercising our efforts towards research publication repeatedly, and today is the third chain of events that have taken place, like Authors Week, we had Peer Reviewers Week, and today we are in the Editors Training Week. So editors are the commanders, and I would say the editor-in-chief is in fact the commander-in-chief of the kind of army that he is heading upon. And it is very aptly said that every journal has its own reputation and is known for its specialization and super specialization. See, all the efforts undertaken by the editorial team under the leadership of the editor becomes so very vital and important. The authors, the peer reviewers are their arms, which he subsequently keeps on taking help, but the final decision admirably is his own, and sometimes there are instances where he has to prevail even a dissenting note. So, without wasting any time, let me once again welcome our chair, Dr. Patkal, and our speaker, Dr. Ananda and Dr. Sridhar. Well, it truly has become an international meet with presence of Dr. Patkal, and I welcome him once again. I am very happy that we are lucky he has been here in Mumbai today, though in this age of online webinars, he could have jolly well joined there. And as Mrs. Nikita has said, that we are proud of your involvement with our ophthalmology journal, which has gone into the bracket of Scopus. So now I hand over to Nikita for proceeding.
Thank you, sir. Without wasting much time, I started directly and welcome to chair the session Dr. Farzad Patkal from Iran. He is associate professor from Tehran University of Medical Science and deputy editor-in-chief of Indian Journal of Clinical and Experimental Ophthalmology. He have a number of publication in national and international journals in his credit. And I welcome to you, Dr. Patkal sir, to chair this session. And in continuation, I like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. C. Ananda Paravil. And today we have two lectures. First, on the conduct of editorial process. The title of a lecture is Peer Review Process Intentions to Decode. Why the selection of title is because we want this to be editors as well as reviewers and author perspectives both. So that's why that word intention to decode we had added in the lecture. And I would like to introduce Dr. C. Ananda Varaval, sir. He is a professor and principal to SVCPS College, Puducherry. Dr. Ananda, with a great academics in biochemistry, he is keen to learn more knowledge and he gathers a lot, and he is pursuing a number of courses and fellowships presently. With teaching experience of around 23 years, 12 patent in his credit, and more than 35 national and international publication into his credit. He is a winner of many awards, and he serves many social academic institutions and a members of number of societies. So I welcome to you, Dr. Ananda, and over to you, sir. Please share your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Nikita madam, for this wonderful introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. With plan A, plan B, and I am now trying with plan C because of the weather conditions in Pondicherry. It's raining from the morning, and
Oh,
first laptop didn't open up, so I'm trying with my second laptop. Just give me a few
okay.
seconds, sir.
Till the time that you are opening your laptop, I would like opening remarks from Dr. Patkal.
Yes, sir. Kindly allow me to share my PPT, sir.
Dr.
Yes,
Patkal,
yes, you are allowed to share.
So
Dr.
you proceed.
Patkal, your opening remarks as you are going to chair this session.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor for me to join this wonderful meeting. So, as Dr. Jai is preparing, so actually, as you noted, there is important role for the editors and for the writers about choosing the title and considering appropriate and actually meaningful and concise title to represent the whole material of the study and to advertise the content of the article. So we have actually a presentation by the colleague. Then we can come back and answer the questions and make comments about the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Dr. Ananda.
Yes, ma'am.
If he still has problem with his laptop, can we switch over to the second presentation?
Dr. Ananda, can we switch over to the second presentation?
1 second, ma'am. 1 second.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Please try.
So once again, Nikita, you said the topic of this presentation is decoding. Will you repeat it again?
Sir, peer review process, intentions to decode. Yeah, and the emphasis on towards the editorial process, so that the quality of the manuscript should be emphasizes for the improvement of.
Right.
Is my PowerPoint visible, sir?
Not yet. Has started screen sharing.
Yes.
Yes. You are there.
Okay. May I proceed, sir?
Sure.
So a warm good evening to everyone for giving me this wonderful opportunity. First, I would like to thank Nikita Madam, ISRF and Innodi Publication, and especially Josh for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
And your chair is there.
Of course, sorry, my chair,
Dr. Patkal, yes.
Dr. Patkal sir. So this peer review process, taking into a lighter side. So if we go back to our school days, I think we have done it. Whenever our teacher has said, "Oh, yes, now it's time to exchange your papers and correct it." So we happily do that. And with the instruction of the teacher, we correct it accordingly. So there the teacher acts as the editor, and we have already served as peer reviewers. So with that chief introduction, let's go. What is the meaning of peer review? It is the process of subjecting an author's scholarly work, research, or ideas to the scrutiny of others who are experts in the same field. So that's why they are called as peers. Before that paper is published in a journal. Why? Why at all need to know, or why at all a peer review is needed? It's nothing but one does not simply publish a scientific paper without getting passing through a peer review. Next is, what is the purpose of a peer review process? Actually, there are two purposes. First one, they are meant to be constructive feedback to the authors. And next, they should comment on the important sections, address the clinical aspects of the paper, perform some definitive roles while clearly bringing out the reviewer's stand on the work. Coming to the actual peer review process, it all starts with the submission of the manuscript. Almost all the journals have the same process with one or two slight differences. Before even submitting the manuscript, the author should be aware of the journal guidelines, and he should make a checklist of what all is needed before the submission of the manuscript. Once the author submits the manuscript, it then goes to the editorial office scrutiny. So where they check for the scope of the journal, they check for the tables, and they also check for the plagiarism. And next, it goes to the decision of the editor-in-chief. It's called EIC. So he then assigns an editorial board where the reviewers are appointed. Minimum of 2 reviewers are being invited for reviewing, and then the response to the invitations are taken and the reviews conducted. I forgot to say one thing here. At the level of the editorial office itself, when they check for the scope of the journal or plagiarism, if there is any problem in that side itself, the author is informed directly, either to correct it, or sometimes the paper is rejected at that side itself. Okay, then it passes through the editor-in-chief, then editorial board, then the reviewers are assigned and they have been selected and the reviews conducted. Next, the journal evaluates the reviews and decision is communicated. And once again, if there is any problem or if there is any acceptance, or for example, if there is any revision, the author is informed again to do the particular corrections. And finally, the acceptance is confirmed. And even before publication, there is another terminology called, it's called the ahead of print. So some of the authors might be in need of publication for their progress in the career. So it comes ahead of print in the online. Even before we have the hard copy, it is getting printed online. So this is about the process of review. How does the journey of a peer reviewer starts? So we can see them in 5 headings. First one, getting started as a reviewer. Next one, responding to an invitation. Third point, how to read a manuscript. What are the different models of peer review? And finally, how to write a peer review report. We'll go one by one. First one is how to get started yourself as a reviewer. So there are 10 tips for this. Number 1, you have to update your public profile. So it's like you have various social sites like LinkedIn, ResearchGate, or all the things. So there you have to update your public profile. Then you should be findable with a easily accessible mail ID. And then you have to read a lot of your particular work, and you have to keep up the good work. And you should also get a unique personal identifier, for example, ORC ID. Then you have to find a mentor. Here, the most important point is finding a mentor. Either it can be your friend, philosopher, or guide who can accept you as a co-author in reviewing his paper, and then you can give some comments in the special comments to the editor. Not only that, now certain journals and certain institutions are coming up with several programs to mentor, like how to author, how to be an editor, how to be a proper reviewer. Best example being ISRF and IP, Innovative Publication. So who are developing, including me, a lot of reviewers and editors. Thanks to them. Next, how will you develop yourself? How will you be getting started as a reviewer? You have to go to a lot of conferences, get yourself acquainted with the authors and editors of your field, and have some good communication with them. Next, get active on the social media, join certain journal clubs, and start practicing writing about your research. So all these tips is to get started as a good reviewer. The next step is responding to an invitation. Okay, so now you are being identified by certain journals and certain editors, and they are inviting you. So when to say yes? Ask certain questions yourself. Am I the right person to review this manuscript? Do I have time to do the review by the journal's deadline? Can I provide an objective review? It is not mandatory to say yes to all the journals who invite you for reviewing. Okay, you should know your own limitations. You should be a skilled expert in that particular field. And more importantly, you should have or you should abide by the journal's deadline. If you can't review, you either inform them or you can ask for an extension. So you should not waste time of the editor as well as the author. Okay, you have said yes. Then what? Getting started after accepting the review. 3 important points. You have to have the system access. For example, each and every journal is updated, automated, and it is digital. So they have their own portal. You have to get into the portal. And then, just like the author, the reviewer also has their own guidelines. Each and every journal has a guideline for the reviewers. You have to go through it, you have to abide by that. And finally, you have to structure and format your review according to the journal guidelines. Number 3, reading a manuscript. How will you read a manuscript? Because after accessing to the website and the journal, everything will be available online. You can even take a print of it, and then you have to read it. So there are certain main important things to do as a reviewer. Number 1, determine whether the author's claim are supported. For example, aims and objectives, whether the author has written or has published us, for example, as given us according to the its own aims and objectives. Next, you have to help the journal editors to make their decision, because the editors will not be an expertise in your field. That's why they are asking you to review. So you should not be just a copy editor. You have to be a proper reviewer, helping the editors to make their decision. Okay, so what are the things that you will start asking yourself? Number 1, you start asking, what is the main research question? What did the authors do to address their research question? How does the study relate to published literature on this topic? What are the author's main findings and what evidence do they provide for these conclusions? So if you start asking yourself, and if you are able to find the answers or those questions, then you can go about it. Generally, it's always better and advisable to read the manuscript that is given to you for review from top to bottom. But actually we do like that, not always. So we actually, most of us have the habit of just seeing the abstract and introduction first, just fastly go through the figures and tables, with results, read the conclusions, and then we come to an idea. We assume, okay, this might be good, this might be bad, but this is not always advised. We have to read the whole thing from the beginning till the end. At least 2 times the manuscript has to be read before writing a report. Certain other things can be checked, like the quality and clarity. Plagiarism, not always the plagiarism is checked by the reviewer. It will be done at the editorial desk itself. This is from PLOS. Then you have to make a reference list and finally wrap up. So here you can see at the level of editorial office itself, they are checking for the plagiarism. Usually the reviewer will not be burdened with the checking of plagiarism. Next, what are the peer review models? Actually, though I have put 9 models here, we know that 1 or 2 only is usually followed. I'll just go through or quickly brush up what are the other types of peer review models. First one is a transparent review. Here, the authors know the identity of the referees and the reports, and the decision letters are published along with the article. So everything is transparent here, nothing is hidden. Next one is single blind review. Here, this is the conventional method of peer review where the authors do not know who the reviewers are. However, the reviewers know who the authors are. Double blind review is a process of evaluating the work completely anonymously. In this system, only the editor knows each stage. Here, the authors do not know who the reviewer is, or the reviewer does not know whom they are evaluating. Anonymity next level is triple blind review, withholding the author's identity from the editors at the submission stage. This serves to remove any bias from the editorial side. It would result in the most objective review process rather than the subjective review process. Next one is attributed review. What happens here is relinquishing the reviewer anonymity by stating the names of the reviewers associated with each paper after acceptance. So along with the publisher publishing article, the reviewers details also comes. The specific comments and the associated revisions are not disclosed here. So this succeeds in giving credit to the reviewer and doesn't prevent harsh criticism. Templated review. Here, the reviewer can ask for specific requirements and aspects to consider for evaluation. Each reviewer will then simply go by the provided checklist and provide a pro forma review. Actually, it's easier implementation in concept than practice. SORT review. Submit for 1 and review for 3. What is this? This system would track your number of reviews and require a minimum number to submit. You should have been instrumental in reviewing at least 3 papers which belong to your own field. Then you will be subjected for this type of review. But it also has its own drawbacks. Can higher impact journals require higher review requirements? Such questions has to be answered. Next one is tiered review. Most frequently, this review invites simultaneously and each review occurs in parallel. So this is an attempt to save time. Simultaneously, the reviewers, 2 or 3 reviewers are sent the manuscript and asked to review. It has its own drawbacks. For higher impact journals, serial type of review is followed, which demands 3-fold increase in time. Last one, the continuous review. This model will allow comments and critiques to be posted even after publication. The authors could then address the comments that may improve the paper, and in effect, the study would be constantly evolving, a living contribution rather than a time-stamp report. So after seeing the different models of review, we'll actually go into the process. I mean, how to peer review, how to write a peer review. So like an inverted pyramid, you can divide into 3 steps. The most important one a summary of the research and your overall impression. So what does it give? Here you have to give an overview of the manuscript's strengths and weakness. Just like you have to give a take-home message for the editors. You have to end the section with your recommended course of action. Next one is evidence and examples. You have to separate the major from minor issues. Certain minor issues can be accepted after correction, but major issues you have to do it and send back to the reviewer. You can talk about the biggest issues first, and then you can go systematically, figure by figure or claim by claim. You have to number each item so that your points will be easily followed, and when they submit once again, you can cross-check. Next one is refer to specific lines, pages, sections or figure and table numbers so that the authors and even editors will exactly know what are you talking about. Last one is the miscellaneous remarks like confidential comments for the editors. This section is also where you will disclose any potentially competing interests and mention whether you are willing to look at a revised version of the manuscript. The most important thing is how you give a feedback. And before that, you should know the main objectives of giving feedback. Number one, to discuss what the authors would need to do in order to qualify for publication. And number two, to provide constructive and critical feedback that the authors can use to improve their study. And the do's and don'ts of a peer reviewer. Filtering out incorrect, inadequate, and fraudulent work. Improving the accuracy and clarity of the work that warrants acceptance. Helping the journal deal with high volumes and helping the journal deal with multiple publications. And what you are not supposed to do, which most of the reviewers initially they do it. Decide whether the paper should be accepted or not. That's not exactly the role of a reviewer, it's the role of an editor. And improving the spelling and grammar, and it's a role of a copy editor. And improving on the study design, it's a role of the author. And finally, disseminating the reviewed paper, which is not at all allowed unless the paper is officially in print. Even some of the reviewers initially, because of enthusiasm, they go even check the plagiarism, which I have done initially, but after I contact Nikita madam, she has told you should not do the plagiarism check, sir, we will do it. And these are some of the sample reviewer comments, how to write, how to comment positively. For example, instead of writing, the writing is practically unreadable. I could barely bring myself to finish it. So you can give a sugar coating. While the study appears to be sound, the language is unclear, making it difficult to follow. I advise the authors work with a writing coach or copy editor to improve the flow and the readability of the text. So imagine when you published your first article. So how was the comment? How would you have behaved if the comment is in the first line? So you have to think all those things, and after becoming a reviewer, you have to mind your own language. Always give a sugar coating. And few tricky situations where you can use your language properly. For example, in your mind, you will be thinking the manuscript is fatally flawed, but while putting in writing, you have to modify it, like the study does not appear to be sound, or the authors have missed something crucial. Another example, in your mind, you would have thought you don't completely understand the manuscript. While writing, you can say the author should clarify the following sections to avoid confusion. And the last example, instead of saying the writing is terrible, you can say the author should revise the language to improve the readability. Okay, so we are doing all these things, Paka. And what are all the benefits of a journal reviewer? So you have a lot of benefits. You get to know about the latest developments. You are getting pioneered in your own field. It enhances your scholarly research and teaching skills. It connects with higher peers of your same field, and it even lets you earn money. Okay, though not directly, indirectly, by getting publons and getting discounts whenever you publish your own paper. What the future of peer review is going to be? Okay, we have seen different types of models. Here, what they say is the open peer review, a major innovation where the identity of the referees is known to the authors and vice versa, and the referee reports and the author's responses are publicly available on published articles. So this is happening in many journals. This brings an increase in transparency and accountability to both the referees as well as the editors. This is crucial in medical journals where the research can be quickly translated into clinical practice. And not only that, reducing the number of times a manuscript is peer reviewed. This lessens the burden on reviewers and shortens the time to publication. So it's done by re-review opt-out methods, or also called as journal cascades, where there is a transfer of the manuscript to a less selective journal instead of directly rejecting the journal. So the editor will be advising the author to go for some other journal along with the review report. So this saves time to the author also. So here are some of the advice from the self-press reviewers. I'll just say one or two. So to review or not to review. Review unto others. Be a reviewer, not a jerk. Sharing the search for insights, a trading opportunity, straight to the point, learn and get enjoyment. Reviewers are helpers and judges, looking for fundamental insights, knowledgeable, serious, and constructive. Evaluate with care and sensitivity. So there is a saying, do or die, which is an old one. And now the trend is do before you die. Similarly, you have to publish before you perish. It's not publish or perish. You have to publish before you perish. So once again, I thank Jasha, ISRF, Innovative Publication, Nikita Madam, for giving me a wonderful opportunity. And I'll also ask to apology if I have made some mistakes in the initial, because this is the first time I'm doing a presentation with respect to the research methodology side. So I am an expert in the field, in my own field of biochemistry. This is the first time I'm doing a presentation with this methodology, and thank you once again for my patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your presentation. Now, I would like to request Dr. Patkal, sir, to give his expert remarks on the presentation by Dr. Anand.
Thank you very much for the great presentation. I actually, the heart of the review is a reconstructive review, both for the editorial office to help them to find and select the best actually manuscript to be published, and also to help the writers to bring out actually a higher quality publication. And as you said, it should be both very polite in terms of, sentences that the reviewers select, and also to be precise. Actually, peer reviewers should be very precise in terms that if you say that this is not clarified, this is vague, we should say that exactly this sentence for this reason is vague. So the actually editor and also the writers and authors can actually correct and decide how to actually make the best decision, also increase the quality of that writing. And as you said, the role of the peer reviewer is not to increase the quality of research, but increase the quality of the publication. When a research is done, we cannot change anything. If you say that why you didn't check the other population, why you didn't check like the other markers for that thing, it's a good comment in terms of maybe limitations of the study, but you cannot change anything for that publication. So thank you very much. And I think we can look at the questions and also more feedbacks and more comments after hearing the questions.
Yes, sir. Actually, there is no question at this moment. So after the presentation by Dr. Sridhar, sir, we can take all the questions together then. Can we do that?
So
Yeah,
if I'm allowed, I make so if you have time, I may make more comments if I'm allowed now.
please, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So actually, we beautifully heard that we should clarify if we can make a good review in ethical and also expertise aspect of that one or not. So it's a great question to ask us. I'm a good reviewer. I'm a good actually person to review this manuscript or not. If we are doing the same study, we have some conflict of interest for anything, we should clearly clarify that and maybe just refuse to review that thing from the ethical point. And also based on our expertise, if we are doing some actually research or we are focused on some part of the science and we are not actually expert in other parts, we should clarify and let the editor know about that, and we can just refuse that. It's not a good idea. If you have no time, we should let them know. And the other thing is to continue the communication between the editorial office and the reviewer. If we need more time, just simply we need to let them know. And actually, sometimes in some part of the research, we would like to announce the editor that this part should be reviewed by other experts in the field. If we think that for example, in methodology, in statistics, this manuscript should be reviewed by experts in specific fields, we should let the editor office know about that. So thank you very much, and we can continue comments if we have more time.
Sir, thank you. Once again, I request you.
I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to say that he said he's a biochemist. So his expertise in biochemistry perhaps has made him so very accurate in dissecting the whole issue of peer review. He started with one sentence that first of all, measure yourself, know your limitation, and you must be knowledgeable. Read, read, and read is the essence of that knowledge. And as regards the constraints of time, even Dr. Patkal has said that you have to be very clear with your editor. If you don't have time, you can always discuss. So a really a good presentation with a lot of clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of IESRF and our chair, Dr. Patkal sir, I'm sharing you a plaque of appreciation for Dr. Ananda sir. Thank you. Now I would like to request our another orator today or today's evening, Dr. Sridhar Gautam sir. And I would like to even introduce him. He is a plant physiologist with more than 13 years of research experience. Apart from his specialization, he is an expert in data and information. He is on board of various preprints repositories like AgriXIV and Thesis Commons. And he is honored with various membership and awards, national, internationally. he is administrator to Open Access Forum, or even a leading name in Open Access India also. He is ambassador to ER Life and DOAJ, Directorate of Open Access Journals, and he is editor with number of national and international journal, number of publication into his credit. I welcome Dr. Sridhar sir for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Nikita. I hope I'm audible. Thank you,
Yes,
Dr.
sir, you are
Jana.
audible.
Yeah, Dr. Patkal and my co-speaker, Dr. Ananda, and all the attendees of this webinar. After hearing how much of rigorous peer review happens, so if that quality publication is not available openly, so then there is no use of it. So the hard work of the peer reviewers and before that the authors who has put a lot of efforts in making some knowledge, a new knowledge, I should say, a new knowledge available to us, should not be stopped with the paywalled or login walls. So at this background, I would like to present something about the benefits of open access. Before sharing my slides, I say that this year, the Budapest Open Access Initiative is celebrating 20 years. So 20 years down the lane from sometime in the February 14th, 2002, this open access has born, that movement has born at Budapest, and it has spread across the world. And it is but there is a difference in the two hemispheres. The global south has its own way of looking at the open access movement compared to the northern. But nevertheless, this movement is happening and growing, and it's accelerating. And you can see so many publications are happening on this open access, and also studies talking about the impact on the society and the scholarship itself. So, but I will not be talking much on the societal benefits like impact studies. I couldn't come across for this presentation, but probably maybe in future or something other, if I get a chance, I would like to speak on that. But now I restrict to the science of academic publications or the scholarship. So I'm sharing my slides. I hope my first slide is on the screen. So the topic is given as the benefit of open access publications. So who benefits of open access? So by this time, I think we are all knowing what is open access. Or to put into the simpler terms, it should be openly available on the public internet. It should not be restricted by any means like the paywalls or the login walls or the copyright restrictions. And these are the publications which we call as open access should be available for us to text mine, data mine, use all the content of this with the citation to the author, giving the citation to the author, but need not to take the permission, because before we have asked the permission, the author has already granted. So, and then that is available on the how he is granted. He is granted through the open licensing. Probably it is the Creative Commons licensing. So when we all things goes together, and that publication, we say it as open access, and the platforms which are publishing this are all called the open access platform or the public publication platforms. So many of the journals are now transforming to the open access. That data I'm not sharing here, but so this is the favorite picture which everybody might have seen when you just Google it, like the benefits of open access. This the graphics comes up, and this is again released under the CC BY license. So before anybody asks, it has been given to us. So we use it, and this is nicely depicted. See how what is the benefits of it. First of all, it has more exposure to our work. Had it been a closed access, only limited people would have had the opportunity to read your paper, the hard work of your thing would have been not went to the such an extent, but only few people might have done it. But again, you had an opportunity to share it under the open access repository. If you have done it, so then the author, like the readers, would have been had a benefit. But it all depends upon the publication policy or the journal policy, and also about like the authors had an opportunity to put into a specific repository of their choice. And sometimes the authors may not do it, but now as I see the growing the social platform for the scientists, that is the ResearchGate, you are getting a lot of papers on that. And when that is happening, when the institutional repositories are not available or been not in a like working conditions, but nevertheless the scientists are trying to make their work, the researchers are making their work open, going, then this is growing. And as we see the evidence in as said by this graphic, that more exposure to work, and then it has like the research in other developing countries who doesn't have the access to much of the publications which are under behind the paywall, so they can get benefited with your direct publication on an open access journal or through an open access repository. And the taxpayers, much of our research is being published, is funded by the taxpayers, and we ourselves are also taxpayers, and the research which we contribute, the funding which we contribute to that research should be available to us at any moment of time, so that we can get benefited. You may ask, like the research publications are not for the public, but it is only for the researchers who are doing the research. No, now with the gadgets and the internet availability, anybody should be having the access if they have it, and our research should also translate the others, like to help the others who would like to translate or to summarize the work. So if we don't open up our work, where people would not able to do the translations or summaries. So that we should open up. And the grant, at times the grant compliance, like the funding agencies, they also ask us to make it openly available. So through this, we are also complying with the grant agencies or the funding, and the public at large, the society gets all the access to the data and information through the publication, which we make through the open access platforms called the journals or the repositories. And this also because the research is openly available, because it is available to everyone, and there will be an opinion formation, and that may also help the research, the other policies to be formulated. We have seen the evidence through the pandemic, when the social distance of 6 meters, or for any other, like the vaccines or whatever has been, that is the tested thing. We should say that the pandemic has made us to realize the importance of open access to the data and information, the scholarly publications. And as an academician or the researcher, I also would like to see what is my citation rate, so that I can compare which of my article is being cited more. The citation doesn't mean that it's endorsement of the work, but how it is being discussed in the future. And see, endorsement is a good or bad, that is the secondary, but how your research is being used up in the formulation of the next future programs, that can be measured to the citation. So citations will help us to measure what is my progress of the research, means publication, or it is giving the impact. Maybe our impact factors or the site scores, which we also look at when we want to submit our publication to that journal. So the deciding factor always, like now, as of now, still we have not do away with the impact factors, but it is a certain, but when your paper is more open, so more citations means good impact factor. So you are increasing the impact factor of the journal. So who is getting benefited? It is the publisher as well. So everyone gets benefited through this open access. And as Peter Suber, who has worked a lot and still he's contributing more to the open access discussions around the world, he says like the open access OA benefits authors as well as readers. Like that's what I'm saying. It is not only to the authors who write the papers, but also to the readers and also to the society at large. And if you just like summarize the advantages of open access publishing, it is as the picture is same thing. We can say it here: the visibility, transparency. The transparency is because the data of the publication is available, and you can use that data to see do other analysis, or also when the methodology is more transparently available, you can you can do it. Means reproducibility can be done, and because it is available, it is at any moment of time you can have the access to it. And then because you can see the research is put on web, so you can also expect the other interdisciplinary researcher to connect you and to do some collaborative activities. Maybe I am from the agriculture background, but now I am seeing that the IITians and other people who are working on the technology aspects are coming towards to make the interventions on the IoTs or to the development, production of the sensors. So that's how the transdisciplinary research also gets thing. And as the same thing we can say about the collaboration. So you will get more collaborators. You don't know who is someone who is in the other part of the world is also working on a similar kind of your same project. So they would like to join collaborations. And as I said, like again, repeating that more potential for citations. There are some studies which says that the citations are increased. And now they are not talking about that because it has been proved that. And then as I earlier also said, that meet the requirements of the funding bodies. This is one of the small work done by from the Dimensions. So Dimensions collects all the metadata. It makes available for everybody to use it. You can also use that data by writing to them and then make a publication on that. How the societal impact also can be done maybe with this data. But as of now, what I could get from the internet publication is that when the publications are more open, and there is a advantages of getting more citations, that you can see how you can compare the traditional publishers and the Gold OA. Though I don't subscribe to the Gold OA publication thing, but in a large like the open access, I support, and there are business models which the people are going. So we can categorize as a Gold OA or Gold OA journals. But we always would like to have a green open access, that is a repository, or through a diamond open access where there is no charge taken from the the authors or the readers, but some funding agency or the universities or the institutions would like to fund for the publication. That some planners and other initiatives are being talked about, and that citation scores are all solely dependent on who is getting benefited. It is the authors, readers, and the publications, the publishers itself. Also. And the same studies, which again, there are many studies. That's what I want to say here. That when there are other different thoughts as well, but majority, that 46% of the studies analyzed says that there is a citation advantage. Some were non-significant, but some also said that no citation. But because it all depends upon the area of your publication, the subject, and the number of journals. Now Earlier, we had only few journals, that is printing, because printing was the costliest thing. So not all were affording to start a publication thing. But now with the advent of the internet, you can publish online without any printing. But it's a printing cost you're reducing, but the managing a journal is not a small thing. But there is a lot of people who have to be employed. So they have their own business models. But nevertheless, the future is about the open access, and probably in the days to come, we only see the journals which are openly available, not the subscribe model. But again, you can see there is a subscribe to open. The academic reviews. Academic Reviews has brought up a new concept, like they have a threshold. Like if it is sold through the subscription, suppose a $10,000 for that volume. So if somebody pays to that, like a number of people who subscribe to, and it goes up to $10,000 US. I'm just taking the figures, not that exactly which raise that. So they will not take more other subscription that is openly available. So that kind of some models are coming, means it boils down to that, like the research should be openly available. So what are the means, how the actors involved in this scholarly communications, right from the authors to the publishers, and also the distributors, and also the other people who are involved in that, how they contribute to that matters. But finally we want it to be openly available. And then there are to make a trustworthy, because there is a bad kind of a notion that is growing, but it is not that growing. Earlier it was accelerating, now it is just growing, that the openly available or the so-called open access journals, which are the just online journals, doesn't go into the peer review system. But as we see that how the peer review happens, it rigorously happens, and not all the journals should be blamed like this. So very few, but that when with this growing support to this movement and going more publicity of this open access, people are getting more knowledgeable about this concept, and they are now avoiding such kind of spurious publication platforms. But they all now transforming, and they are also looking at their how they can improve, and many of the people are transforming themselves, and all good journals are, we can see many of the journals are good journals happening. And this Open Access Scholarly Publication Association is bringing out many resources for everyone, like the authors, readers, and the publishers to follow a certain guidelines on publishing system, and also the reviewers, how they should do the reviews. All these are happening, and like this, because I said, like, because of this growing online support, and the journals have been increasing tremendously, and most of the print only journals are transforming themselves into online. And the reward directory, which is supported by UNESCO and hosted by the IASN, takes like says that 2,500 scholarly publications are free, so it would have been increased. And I was talking in sometime in my previously here that the planners was thinking to to start by 2020, and then it increased to 2021. Now we have 2022. Still, there is the consensus have not reached it. How the open access should be made more reality, in the sense more sustainable, because it is not only the scholarly societies which puts lot of time, but there are the entities who have also put a lot of money into this investment to bring out such a kind of a good publication, either through the print or through the online, where it has taken steps to make the data archived and available, and also make the new metrics available, all these things, and to bring out the connections from the others. So all these people who are playing and the authors have not reached much consensus, but it is growing, and India has not joined this coalition. Probably maybe in days to come it may, but because I said like it is morely towards the gold open access, so there is a reluctance towards that. Had it been but they have done a survey on the diamond open access, wherein I said like there is no charge taken by from the readers and the authors. So that how it is going to be beneficial, I mean, it's more sustainable. How like either the gold OA is sustainable or the diamond. So that report is available for people to refer to that. And the UNESCO, which is talking, which is about the educational scientific means organization at the UN, has previously they talked about the open educational resources, but in 2021 November they recommended the open science. See, we are talking about, I was talking about the open access, which is only a part of the under the umbrella of open science, which it says that the everything about the research should be made available, not only the research and the science coming out of from the research, the new knowledge coming out of from that our experiments or the publications should also be made openly available. How again it talks about the strategies, and it talks about the commitments of the nations, and it also charges the authors, the researchers, and the other players in this scholarly communication system, how they can implement the open science recommendations in their like in the nations or to the that publication business models. And from the India, still this it is a draft only policy. It has not taken up the policy. It's not promulgated as a policy, but it will be the same. In that, I have taken the Open Science Framework of the Science Technology Innovation Policy 2020 of Government of India, talks about the open access and also support to the journals which are going towards the open access. They would like to create the support for the creation of the digital versions from the print, and also make it accessible all the internet to everyone, not only the people who can read it, but also to the others people who are differently abled. So all this can be, as we can see, so there is a growing support for this, and we expect the as we envisage that after 20 years also, when we are talking about the BOI, how the open access, so in the days to come, the open access is the only mantra, and everyone is going to benefit for that. And the recent changes in the US also, like when the Obama government has talked about the open access policy, now being also the new president also means that presidency also changed the US government, and the embargo also, it was 6 months. Now it has made immediate, but it is going to start from the 2026. So and this is going to influence the all other the nations as well, because the market from the US is towards open access, so everybody will be going towards that. And I kept this SDGs at the last to just to talk more on that. 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 goals all have directly or indirectly related to the open access. And open access is the key to ensuring the society benefits from the knowledge. Because when you talk about the no poverty, the how to make if I take the agriculture, my background, science. So if I have the data and information about the new varieties, means the germplasm, so I can bred the new varieties very fastly. And also, if I have the access to the modern technologies, the methodologies about how my predecessors has worked on that, if I can learn what they have published, if it is immediately available, and I can bring out the new varieties about the food, and then we can see that the access to the food, if it is given properly, so no poverty, no zero hunger. And again, one of my good varieties comes up with the fortified aspects, so good health. And then because the research and is available, and the data information available, and new knowledge and new science is available, that is again, which is open. So quality of education helps, increases. So that we can talk about many of all the things. And then you have this climate change 13. Now the climate change, we are talking and we are feeling it. And I should say that, which maybe in the next slide, I can say this year's Open Access Week talks about this climate justice only, open access for the climate. So the data related to the climate, what is the status, how it is growing, means the effect is growing, how we have to cope up, what are the strategies to combat that or to develop the resilience. So all these things will be made if you have the publications made available openly. And then the 16 says the strong institutions. So and then also partnerships. So this open access will definitely bring, and the goals tracker is already done. Looking at it, these things, and if somebody looks at that SDGs goal tracker, they can see how the publications are all contributing to that. And the new metrics are also being ranking, also come up to rank the different universities and institutions on these SDGs, how their research is benefiting to reach the SDGs is also being talked about that. See, this is the this year's theme for the Open Access Week, Open for Climate Justice. So many people have talked about this, and the research related to this, especially the weather data and other things, has to be openly available so that we can take informed decisions and also work on it and to combat this climate change. As I said, the open access publications has to be openly available, but how open it is, again, depends upon the authors or the publication platform. But the Creative Commons are at our rescue. Using this the licensing, we can say how much open we are. Definitely would like to see this green part where it is more open, CC by SA, not less than that. But again, to start with, any of this open license will do. The conditions which they talk is attribution. So we have to, if it is openly available, it doesn't mean that you just use it, but it should be attributed. And as per that license, we can share, or either as a non-commercial or commercial, all these things. And all the open access publishers should, or the authors should, use this license, because this license is not just a license. It has the 3 layers. That's what it says, that it is a legal code, and it has a machine readable and also human readable. Now, when I see the logos and the icons, I should differentiate what is that license. And if you want to go deeply into that, what is a legal code? And if you are not able to read everything, you can ask the search engine to bring any article or any photograph or any record on the internet to filter through and get it through CC BY or CC BY SA. So that you don't need to infringe, you will not be infringing the copyrights, you are not doing any plagiarism, you are only attributing and also use it, and also helping the authors to showcase their work to the world. So that is the benefit of using the Creative Commons license when we are talking about the open access publications. So I'll end here, so we can have a few questions, or we can have a discussion going on this. Thank you very much. Thank you, the organizers, to giving me the opportunity, and also the attendees has taken time to listen to this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gautam, for your mesmerizing presentation. Now I would like to request Dr. Patkal sir to lead and again give the remarks on your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gautam, for the great presentation about the open access publications. So actually, you beautifully mentioned about the advantages and the scope for open access publications. There are some limitations as well, like APC, article processing actually charges. That's a real actually restriction to the open access publication. The other thing that should be reminded is that by that charges, there are some concerns about actually some articles that's published with this process, with this platform, will be more visible, and the other ones are not that much visible. That may bring out a shift toward that publications that may change or shift the whole science in future. That should be addressed. So I would like to ask you to clarify about these limitations, and also actually about the hybrid process of the open access process, like what Nature is doing now, that in some articles, major articles, you may see that they are published digitally with open access process, and the other usual articles are just published with the traditional form. So I may ask you to actually more clarify about these a few topics.
Yeah, Patkal, that is, I deliberately avoided the APCs because when I talk about the open access, the first foremost question comes up in everybody's mind is huge APCs. So I cannot submit an article for the publication in open access journal which charges $1,000. $1,000 for us is too huge. And when there is a meager publication, like research funding, so major part of it goes for the publication. So so that is the hindrance, but there should be some ration in that, means rationalization of the APCs. There are different models of the business models for the open access, but it should not be exorbitant where it will create an inequality from the publication. Like who has the funding, they have the chance to more publish. Who doesn't have the funding, they will not be able to do it. Lakhs of rupees somebody has to get from their pocket to publish an article just for the prestige of publication in a high impact number. It is not going to have high impact as we say that. What is a high impact? It is just a number. A journal has been given a high impact, means a rating of 10 impact factor doesn't mean that it is going to impact huge. And the same thing is the site score. So as we are bound to publish in this because our academicians we have to be the promotions are linked to that. So there is a problem in that. But when you look at the there are other modes, like when I see the DOAJ directory, more than 87% are I think if I'm not wrong, it can be like that only. So much percentage of the index journals in the DOAJ doesn't charge anything. So we need not to look at those so-called the top 5 or 10 international or the global publishers journals, but they see publication is a publication. If it is a peer reviewed, and if it then there should not be platform difference. If you publish in a Nature or if you publish in any other journal, the work is yours. So being it openly available on internet will surely make an impact of your research if you make it openly available. So as we should understand, and we should not go at the false gold where publishing in a high impact number journal fetches me in a high esteem. So that is one thing. And you were talking about the what was the other, Fatkal, question?
Sorry, I lost your last words. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was asking what I was talking about, like we should not be going towards the false gold where you should look at the impact factors, but there are non-impact factor number journals, but we more prestige. So then you wanted me to talk on other aspects. So I was just asking
about a shift toward that open access publications.
Yes. So now
and shading the other ones.
Yeah. See, now the printing, as it's like the printing was a too costly affair. Now you have the internet, which is open, and also the hosting are also little reduced than the previous, I guess. And you have the softwares to run a journal. So all things like I should say here open journal systems. That is the best software which is ever made for any scholarly journal system. But some of the publisher doesn't use it. But me thinking that because if they are using OJS, they should make all the journals open. No, it's not like that. It is a software which is the open source. So you can use it, you can tweak it, you can tweak it, and then you can improve on it for your own, customize it, and use that so that the cost of production of any publication process gets reduced. Thereby you can save some of the amount and don't go for a print. See, print journals some may require, but it is, you can do away with it. So you can reduce again that cost. So the transition to open access should not become a burden on you, and you should not pass on to the authors as through the APCs. But you can look at the other models, and as a society journal, which I am associated to, one university journal and also the society journal, I see that there is no cost involved except for the copy editing. That also, if you do the in-house or voluntary things, it also can reduce. So I say that the new technologies which are there and open technologies, embracing them, we can cut short this cost of production of any journal, and thereby going towards the open access. The transition towards open access will be easy, but the problem is we are only looking at those 5 to 10 top publishers. We would like them to transform to the open access and also not to charge high APCs. I don't think that will happen. It is the societies should come into the picture and take the reins of the scholarly some publication process and take forward the open access movement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the other point, if we have time, Nikita, do we have time to make another comment?
Sir, you can take 2 more minutes, please.
So the other thing is that when we talk about the open access publication, we are just talking about the platform for publishing that book or article. If we want to reference a table or figure in the article, there are the same rules, and it doesn't mean that we do not need to get permission from the authors. So we may move on to questions, Nikita, if there is any.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Question is, what is the best peer review process, open or structured, that is format based? So this question is to Dr. Ananda, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. Right now, double-blinded peer review process is being practiced, but slowly, the open access also is coming into play, and more journals are getting into an open access system of peer review. I don't know. Soon it might take over.
Yes, you are right. Double-blind procedures are used by a number of journals. When we go through the structural process of the editorial flow onto the journal website, then we find that the double-blind peer review system is followed by a number of journals these days. Sir. Yes, sir, please.
There is also growing that like open review process is also being happening, and most of the reviews earlier, the reviewers they themselves used to publish on the Publons, but the journals itself are publishing the reviewers' comments, whether it is accepted with reservations or without thing, like all those things are making open. So more open peer review being embraced by the various journals. And there is another thing is coming, like you accept the article and publish and then do the pre-review process. That is also happening. So new concepts or new things are coming into the scholarly communication processing publication ecosystem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm totally agreed. And even on Publons, number of journals, I am also reviewed a few open review process. So it is very much fair enough to for the author's work and the open remarks on the published work. So I'm also agree with you. And double blind is the traditional traditionally method which is maximum generals is followed all over the globe actually. But now this is into the consideration, the open access, and I also admire this process. Dr. Patkal, sir, you want to say something on this? Hello, I guess there is.
Sorry, noises are coming from. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Oh, okay, I agree with you about the type of the peer review process depends on the journal policy and also the whole content and the objectives of the journal. And clarity is the best form. We are moving toward that, and we should remember even for the single blind actually policies. Many times I'm seeing and experiencing that when I review an article that's single blinded just to me, the author after a while call me and say, Farzad, I agree with your comments. Nobody said that I'm reviewing that thing, because when you're focused on some research process, you should remember that many will understand that who is reviewing the process. And so the clarity may be the answer for
Yes, sir.
this processing, what policy of the journal about that.
Yes, sir.
So
Good.
any more
Yeah.
questions?
Yes, one more question is about IEC. So yeah, these days these IEC are mandatory, and Dr. Ananda sir want to say something on this?
Yeah, actually, it's like a similar question like the previous one.
Yeah.
Initially, IEC was not given importance. People used to publish like anything, just like a desktop computer. Now desktop publishing has come. So I think in order to avoid that, now for the past 3 years, I am seeing that many journals are asking for IEC. Even some journals stress for the IEC number also. So it's also picking up like open. You're muted.
There are numbers of requests for making the slides online. So I will share you all the details after our completion of this session on your email ID. So that you can even access on the YouTube and Facebook Live these sessions. Dr. Gautam sir, can you please go through the chat question answer box? There is a big question for you. Dr. Gautam. Okay, I guess there is some internet glitches. So now we have to bind the session. The presentation of both the orators are great today, and this is informative. The message box is flooded with the message for the appreciation message for the both of the lectures. And now I would like to present a plaque of appreciation to Dr. Sridhar sir. I thank you all for your presence, and I stay tuned for the tomorrow session. Here again, that is a feast of mesmerizing panel discussion and one of the lecture on the how to improve the quality of manuscript and citation. So stay tuned for the same. One question we missed, actually, I guess Dr. Gautam sir is not here.
Yeah, Nikita, sorry. There was
Come back, yes, come back.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is a big question for you in question answer box that Dr. Ade Pozu from AME University, West Africa. In Africa, we have issue with open access high rated journal in the sense that it could be so expensive to pay their article processing charges. Apart from this, their rates of rejection could be so high. How we can overcome these hurdles?
Simply don't publish with them. You publish in a journals which, like, I would like you to look at the DOAJ. Again, I say that DOAJ, it is not just indexing, any automatic indexing. There is a process of, a lot of process goes into that, and a vetting of all the things happens, and it's quality controlled. The quality check is there. So you rest assured that those journals which are indexed in the DOAJ are the best journals. And you can choose by filtering with the APCs or non-APCs. And if then you can choose a journal of your choice, looking at their scope and the publication frequency. And is there any way we can get connected to those who can mentor upcoming African Academics publications? So I would like you to look at the Author Aid. Author Aid is one website which talks about more scholarly communications. And there is a mentoring opportunities also, and also support for those people who would like to know more about the scholarly systems, and then probably you can get more support from that site. Author Aid. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thanks, Dr. Farjad Patkal, sir, for your time and your expert remarks on today's lecture. Thank you, Dr. Ananda, sir, for a great lecture. Thank you, Dr. Sridhar, sir, for awareing us about the open access policies. As you said initially in your presentation that you need some more time, even we need some more time to understand about the sea of open access policies and the fair and ethical policies in the research publication. Yeah, thank you all and have a great time ahead. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.